Well, let's get some perspective on this. Mr. Rajan Mathews, Director General at COAI, is now joining us on the phone line. Mr. Mathews, did you expect this offer to be rolled out?
Obviously, we were hoping that it would not continue because the impact on the industry was rather severe. The fact that TRAI has now come forward and also decided that that was inappropriate to continue, I think is good news for the industry. And I think it is the appropriate call for TRAI, because clearly what is happening now is that the impact of these free offers has spread just beyond the industry. So the banks are extremely concerned now because there's a tremendous amount of debt owing to them. The government is concerned because obviously there's debt owing to them for spectrum. There's revenue accruing to them. The handset manufacturers have raised concerns, and the equipment manufacturers for network have raised concerns. So I think it's spreading beyond just the immediate industry. And so I think that's why we believe this is the right call from the regulator.
Right. It means that as per the release, it means that the customers who are already enjoying the Jio Summer surprise offer will continue to target. So this means that there is one more quarter of pain for the industry?
Possibly, depend again on the total number of folks who have actually signed up. We understand it's somewhere in the vicinity of about 70 to 75 million. That's rather sizable. And I think that's the principal point that we are saying. I think Reliance Jio has proved its point. It has one of the fastest ramp-ups. It's put on about 120 million customers. It's brought rates down to 10 rupees per gigabit. It's got 70+ million people signed up for their particular plan, the most recent one, the club plan. So I think overall the stock price has gone up. Overall, I think the regulator has said, look, you've had a tremendous run, and so maybe now we need to start looking at the health of the industry as well. And so I think this, is again the appropriate move by TRAI, we believe, and we really congratulate TRAI on having taken this step forward.
Right, but if you look at this offer, it was a very different offer from what was the earlier ones. But after the withdrawal of this offer to get more size, do you expect further aggression? It may not be to the magnitude of this level, but do you expect further aggression from Reliance Jio?
So first of all, I think the TRAI looked at the details and probably came to the conclusion that this was not materially different in terms of the free offer from what is offered previously. And yes, we do expect Reliance to continue to see what gains traction in the marketplace. They're a very aggressive company. They compete very well. They're very smart in the way they position their marketing products. So we do continue to expect that there will be continuing marketplace action. But that's the right place for the action to be. Once the regulator has provided a level playing field, the rest of the game must be played on the marketplace where consumers make a choice. And it will not just be on price, it will be on total consumer experience, which is speed, capacity, coverage, are additional issues that consumers will now weigh on in making their choice. And I think that's good in the direction we're going.
Right. Most of the other operators have also reduced their packages, especially the data packages, and started offering 18, 20, 25 GB data for a similar cost or somewhere around the same cost. Do you see realizations continue to take a hit?
So I think in India, the whole name of the game has been high volume and low margins. That's exactly what we saw in the voice side of the equation, to the point where we really came to almost rock bottom prices. We will see some of that coming over into the data side. So I think the emphasis now will be on putting the maximum number of people on the network.
Right. But do you think the volume growth can make up for this loss in realization?
Will make up somewhat. I think the good thing that has come out of this whole issue of the freebies is that the total consumption per consumer has gone up. Previously, if we had seen a gigabit of consumption a month, that would have been considered really good. Now we are seeing consumption of a gigabit a day. So that increase not only in the consumption but in the number of consumers, I think we are hoping, the industry certainly is hoping, will begin to mitigate some of the impact. But again, rate is an important factor, and we'll have to wait to see how this continues to play out in the marketplace.
Right. What about, the unlimited calling plans? Do you think that is also something which is returning back to the industry?
It is there in the industry, but under a fair usage plan. So it basically says that, look, if you hit 1 gigabit, for example, per day, you will be throttled back to about 512 kilobits per second. That's not a very good user experience. So there will be some inbuilt mechanisms. Otherwise, our networks will perhaps not be able to take peak loads, and that is not good for the consumer. So I think under the fair usage policy, there will be some tapering off of the quantum that consumers will be allowed to use in any particular day.
Right, but in terms of data growth, at least in terms of volumes, despite the per data, plans that we are getting, you expect that there is still a lot of scope for data growth?
Absolutely. I think there is good scope because, again, that depends upon the types of applications that are going to be run. Also, please remember that the government is pushing through a lot of applications for use by the average citizen. Just take the demonetization impact. We saw a 30% increase in online transactions and the use of access on the networks for accessing bank accounts and e-commerce and payments. So, again, that is an example where, as a result of government actions and activity, we see this increase. Combine that with Aadhaar, which is now becoming an increasing component of government's programs and bank programs and payment programs, we see that there is good scope for applications to start increasing the demand factor on the network.
Right. In terms of, now that the freebies are ending and most of the subscribers will now start charging or, give out their different tariff plans, do you think the focus will shift on better service? The company which provides better service will get the maximum additions, even if the pricing is slightly higher?
Absolutely. I think that's where the whole battle place should have been because, again, a unilateral type of focus on just the price point is not ultimately what consumers consider. They look at the total experience that they will have. So I think moving in that direction helps the operators, because one of the points that the operators have been saying is that you can't starve the industry of resources and continue to expect it to make the investment. Please remember, we had 2G for 20 years, 3G was probably 4.5, 4G is now here, and already people are talking about 5G. So the considerable investments required in the network to provide consumers with the types of innovative services and the quality of services requires a certain level of input and resources vis-a-vis revenue. So I think that is important, and I think it's good that we're moving now to a marketplace-oriented determination of winners and losers.
Right. Sir, thank you so much for taking out time for us and explaining to us what do you make of the recent changes in the telecom industry. That was a view coming in regarding the TRAI recommendation which it has given to Jio to remove its or withdraw its summer offer that it just released a couple of days back.